And a water pipe. Marvellous. And a leopard. And a leopard. There. That is awesome. Yes, I planned that. That went entirely according to plan. I didn't have any idea there was a leopard here. Alright. Looks like Vutomi to me. Let's go catch up with him. So much for Vutomi went north. Score! Did that just happen? Yes, it did. I should have claimed that one. Hello, little leopard. Are you after some terrapins, mister? Just give him a bird of space, in case he's thinking about doing something interesting. I don't want to distract him in any way. Is that our little boy? Looks like him to me. Hello, gorgeous. With your tail up in the air. Perfect. Look at that perfect loop that it's made. Hey, gorgeous creature. Where did you pop out from? Okay. Oh, we better go quickly here. In this long grass, we don't want to lose our surprise so soon after finding it. Megan's been stunned into silence. Megan? Oh, there she is. Yes, tell me about it. Apparently all of you are saying that was unexpected and you're all very excited. It was rather unexpected. I did not expect that at all. Hey, little one. What you found? Hey, my boy. Jennical, you said, well, you thought I was joking. I wasn't. I didn't even think about it. I always think it would be so mean to say to you guys, oh, there's something exciting, and then there not be anything. But I was being heavily sarcastic as I was going along. Just goes to show. Sometimes sarcasm pays, everybody. Woo. Glad to hear everybody agrees that it is Vutomi. It's definitely him, but jeepers, this is going to be difficult, everybody. You better hold on to your seats and your hats. And Rusty, you better hold on to your wheels. Because we're going in. Oh, goodness, where's he gone? I basically have to look for the grass moving. I don't want to go in too close in case he's lying down. You got him. Oh, is he going that way?
He's going around those bushes.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, let's go this way then. That makes life a lot easier. Maybe he's going to that termite mound. Well done, Seb. Thank you. The addition of height, always a good one. Oh. Little Vutomi, where have you gone? I need a game path, ideally. There's a game path. Somewhere there. Okay. Let's take this route. I can't see. The grass is so high. Well, tell me, where'd you go? Little monster. John, you say that leopards are the ghosts of the bush. I have to tell you something, John. I think he's just ghosted on out of here. Oh, where's he gone? Better move a bit quicker than this. I just don't want to... If he lies down, I don't want to scare him. No, I've got to... I can't go too fast. Oh, Tommy! Little monster, where'd you go? Oh. Got it. Oh, dearie dear. Everybody, he's pulled a serious vanishing act after our happy, lucky surprise. Oops. I haven't managed to get another view, unfortunately, but we have found him and he is eating. And I cannot believe how trusting this little leopard is, because we drove around very, very close to where he is. I'm going to try. This is astounding. This is utterly, utterly astounding. He's over there. Gosh. Little Vutomi, and he's eating something. He's found something to eat. And we found him by a combination of listening and smell. There he is. That's him at the bottom, yeah. I can see spots there. Okay. I'm going to turn around. We'll get a better view. We've got him now. Sure. This is crazy. Little Vutomi, you trusting little thing. He was so well hidden in that bush. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, I'm going to give him plenty of space here. We'll scoot around. Now, Judy, welcome on our live safari. Judy, you want to know who gives the leopards their names. Oh, there he goes. Oh, there we go again. Judy, Vutomi was named by Shanae, who works as a guide at Coral. Let's just see where he's going to go. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. And it's a combination of different methods. One is democratically. The people that see the leopards will put forward 2 suggestions and it's voted on which ones are the best. There's usually a preference given to the guides that know those leopards the best. So, for example, with Shongile and Hosanna, that preference was given to Taxon and Aubrey because they were from their property. With Vutomi, Shanae, because she knew him the best. Hey, little one, which means life, by the way, because there was a long time that it was presumed that he hadn't made it. Okay, let's get ourselves turned around. I think he's going back to the pan, which is marvelous for us, because it's a bit tricky in here. Goodness gracious. I haven't even called him in yet, because I wasn't sure we were going to keep him. Macy, you want to know if this grass is always this high or if it dies during the winter months. Yes, it completely disappears during the winter months. You're usually left with very little grass, sometimes dry sand. And I'm sorry, I have to concentrate really hard now just to make sure that we don't break the car, essentially. So, yes, the grass disappears. Yes, this is our hardest time of year for searching for leopards, for finding a lot of things, actually, just because it is so very thick. But sometimes we get lucky. Hey, little boy. Oh, sorry, I actually hadn't finished answering the names question. The other way that it is sometimes decided is by the guide who first found them as cubs, found the den site. He's going to go straight into that beautiful place where we last got surprised by quarantine. How amazing is that? There's one other way that leopards are named, and that is by essentially, look, he's looking for terrapins. Here he goes. He's stalking forward. I'm not going to reposition now. I don't want to mess anything up for him. This little leopard needs all the chances he can get. I don't know what he's after. It's probably a terrapin. He is the master, though. Tenure is the third way that leopards are named. Who's been working for a long time in a certain lodge, and so on. Who deserves the honor of naming one of these little leopards? There's a fourth way, and that is by popular vote of a large Nat.Geo wild audience, as was done with Vutomi. So our Safari Live viewers got to name Tundi's cub Tamba was named by popular vote. Wonder what he's after. Okay. We can do some shuffling around now while he's stopped and while he's settled. If he starts to stalk again, then we will immediately switch off. But with terrapins, it's a slightly different process. It's not like he's hunting a scrub hare or an impala. Hey Ilana, lovely to hear from you again. Have we got time to do this? Yeah, we do. Ilana, you want to know what language the leopards' names are. Ilana, of course, is a very familiar name. She's a regular viewer of Safari Live. Ilana, most of them are in Xitsonga, so the Shangaan language. Sometimes they are in Zulu. Here we go, mister. Let's wait and see what you do. Sometimes they're in Zulu, sometimes they're in English, as was the case with Anderson. Sometimes they're named after the area that they're in. So, there's a whole load of terrapin heads sticking out of the water that he's looking at. Terrapins are what's kept him alive while his mom's been away. He's survived off eating terrapins just like little Shongile has. They share a very similar story in a way, these two. Both have had to face survival, and both have turned to terrapins. They're the heads sticking up. And one thing Vutomi's learned very well is the value of patience, and that's what he's going to do now. Now there's something that I haven't done, and this has shared the sighting with the other guides around me. Now you'll have to just forgive me while I do that. You can look at the beautiful leopard while I do. The stations, if you copy me, I've got Vutomi at 3 in a row pan, static for now. And if I could ask Taylor a huge favour through Megan, or James, whoever happens to be closest to their game drive radio, if they could call it in as well, at 3 in a row pan. Yeah, A-firm. Copy, he came as a bit of a surprise. Oh, you're welcome, Ali. It's just myself. Sorry, everybody. Just chatting to the other guides. Shanae and I are just discussing the astounding distance that little Vutomi has walked today. Keeping us all guessing, aren't you, mister? That's the way leopards do it. The ghosts of the bush. He went in the opposite direction last time Shanae saw him. Perfectly poised. For all the world, it looks as though he's just sitting and contemplating, perhaps thinking about life. But what he's really doing is waiting for the opportunity for a terrapin to become his next meal. Oh, there we go. See? The moment's here. We know he's good at it. He's so clever, you know. He's spotted a pair of terrapin that have got close to the edge of the water, but will stay on him from now. Ah, they've just moved away again. And he's going to lie down on his belly and settle there patiently and wait for the next opportunity. Megan, I'm sorry. I wasn't actually listening to your question at all. Sorry. My mind glossed over it. Oh, there we go. Mario, you would like to know if Vutomi is older than Hosana. He is. Now let me just try and work out by how much. Maybe those of you can help me out with that. I think he's about 3 months older than, or 2.5 months older than Hosana. Am I correct in that? He must be, in theory, close to 1.5 years. Oh, wow, okay, 4 months older than Hasana. I doubted myself on that because he is so very, very small when compared to Hasana. He's about the size Hasana was at around about 10 months old. A fact that Brent argued with me repeatedly. What is going on? I'm distracted. Okay, no, he's hunting. We'll stay on him. I'll explain why I was distracted in a moment. Here he goes. Is there another opportunity? What has he seen? Look at that. That perfect leopard crawl, belly to the ground. Here he goes. You'll just see the odd... Here he goes again. You'll see the odd ripple of the terrapins as they move closer to the side of the water. It's a difficult time of day, this, because it's not really warm enough for the terrapins to want to come out to bask. But they might decide to come out, or just closer to the surface of the water, or the edge of the water. He's not like Hasana. He doesn't go diving in necessarily. Or unnecessarily, should I say. Ali, I agree. Isn't he looking stunning? Vutomi is looking really, truly beautiful. I think he is a really, truly beautiful leopard. But then I haven't really met that many leopards that I've turned around and said, what an ugly leopard. There he goes. Ah, in the water! And he's got it. Well done, little chap. Now comes the hard part. That was expertly done. And there he goes, off to find a nice bush to crunch into his terrapin. He's going to go and do what leopards do, which is find somewhere comfortable to go and eat his prize. And I'm just going to let him decide where he wants to do that. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be nice and close to us. I didn't want him to feel as though we were in any way going to go and steal his terrapin, because in his mind, we could. In my mind, there could not be anything further from it. Well done, Vutomi. Well done. Okay, so now he's in the long grass. I want to stick with this view for now, just because I want to just gauge his mood and his reaction to us around his kill. I've found that with Shongile, since Karula hasn't been around, she's just felt that need for a little bit more personal space, especially with her kills. And Vutomi I've found to be the same as well. Now, his spots are just there. I just want to gauge his reaction. Sit here for a sec. Make it clear to him that we're not going in there to steal his kill. Okay. Alright. I think we're okay. Let's reposition. And let us think this through. Seb, if you see a good view, just shout. Otherwise I'm going to go all the way around. No, I'm going to have to go all the way around. Watch him crunch open his terrapin dinner. His tantalizing terrapin dinner. Could we call it that? Probably not. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Ali's just joined us in the sighting. Ali is currently guiding for Chitwa. And I'm going to try and get her a good view of this as well. And there we go. We can just see the tops of his head. I'm sure he's going to come back out again. Just eating his terrapin. So the reason I was distracted earlier, by the way, was there was this very low circling helicopter And I just wanted to make sure that we weren't in the way of an official operation. It could have been a darting, anything like that. So I just wanted to make sure we weren't in their way. So that was the reason for my distraction. But we're back focused once again on Vutomi and his dinner. What a special surprise you were, little man. How would you do me the kindness of introducing me to your mother before I leave? And one thing I've noticed Vutomi has become an expert at is cracking open the terrapins. He's got so much experience in doing this. It's been, how many months is it since we've been watching him hunt terrapins? Must be a good 3 months now. He knows just how to go about it. And it's the process that we've seen Shongile learning as well. Now, boy, there we go. You wanted to know how do they go about breaking the shell. Boy, with great difficulty in certain circumstances, and for very large terrapins or tortoises, they actually can't. It's basically impossible for them to. And in those situations, well, they just have to eat what they can try and get to, if they can get to any part of the terrapin. And we've seen Shongile actually leave a terrapin that she caught essentially completely undamaged. She didn't manage to get through the shell, because remember that shell is solid bone. They do, however, have very powerful jaws, so if they get a relatively small terrapin, and I would say that this terrapin is quite small, what they'll aim to do is crunch down on the shell initially, and then try and pull away at the slightly thinner edges around where the terrapin's legs and its head stick out, so essentially the holes in the shell, and they'll try and prise it open from there. But I suppose each leopard will have a different technique. I imagine it's something similar to opening up an oyster or something like that. Not the easiest thing to do. But isn't it fascinating how both of our young leopards have basically made their living off eating terrapins for now? Terrapins and tortoises. I'm very impressed with their resilience. Well, our tiny little leopard is hidden in the grass, so let's go and look at James searching for some of the smaller things in life. Life, and I suppose a little bit of death involved as well, as... oh, you can actually hear the crunching. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment so you can hear as he tucks into the terrapin. Oh, actually, sorry, we're right next to a vehicle, so I'm not going to be too quiet, because otherwise all we're going to do is eavesdrop on their conversation by mistake, which we don't really want to do. Vutomi's tucking into his terrapin, and James is absolutely right. His sort of honed skills in cracking open this terrapin, or these terrapins, has indeed come at a price. And James, thank you for pointing that out. I actually forgot that a picture was posted on social media with a picture of his missing tooth. He's lost a canine, and that probably has in fact come from trying to break open terrapins. Perhaps there was some kind of weakness, perhaps there was a crack in his tooth, but either way it has essentially broken off, and that unfortunately at his age would have been a permanent tooth, so there won't be any chance of that regrowing. But it will be another identifying feature of a young Vutomi as he gets older and older and bigger. I wonder where he'll end up.
I'm not too sure. They can get quite big. So I would say average about this size.
And hello to Tucker, who is 4 years old. Tucker, are you a little bit worried about the leopard eating all of the turtles where we live? Because, Tucker, you don't need to worry too much. We've got so many different terrapins, or turtles as you called them, in the water, that any leopard that ate all the terrapins would be far too big to even move. So you don't need to worry at all about the turtles. They'll be absolutely fine. There's lots and lots and lots and lots and hundreds and thousands of them out here. And remember that this poor little leopard must have been feeling very hungry. So you don't need to worry too much about the terrapins. At the moment he's just a blur of spots. However, I have a feeling that before this evening is through, young Vutomi is going to go back and start again and search for the next terrapin. I wonder if he's moved from pan to pan to pan this afternoon. There we go. Brief view of his face. Now that he's lifted it up, before he disappears behind the grass. A blur of spots. Now, of course, there were reports that Inkanyeni, this cub's mother, I wouldn't call him a cub now, I'd call him a sub-adult. There were rumors that she has suckle marks, and we did see her mating with a male named Quarantine not too long ago. So it's possible that she's gone off and she's had cubs, which of course is one of the hardest times in a young leopard's life. Because even though mom might still share kills with him if he finds her, she's not, her sole attention is no longer devoted to him. What a complicated feeling that must be in the life of a leopard. I suppose once they reach a certain age, their instinct tells them that they're meant to be a solitary animal. But I always feel that it must be an utter wrench for young leopards to eventually have to move away from their mum. And he'll probably hang out here for another 6 to maybe even 12 months. But eventually he's going to have to leave. Now, perfect video. On that note, you want to know if he's too young to hunt for large prey. We just discussed the fact that he's essentially a 1.5 years old almost. And that is not too young to hunt for his own prey. However, he is quite small. I think he's quite small for his age. And he perhaps hasn't got to the point where he's gained enough confidence. However, we don't know what he's doing in between hunting terrapins. It might be that he's caught his own small antelope. He's definitely big enough. He's essentially the same size as Shongile, maybe just a little bit bigger. So I have no doubt he'd be capable of catching something like a duiker or a steenbok, small antelope. But I think it's a confidence thing as well. I really truly believe that a young leopard cub of this sort of age needs that confidence, needs to build up from the bottom up. And terrapins might just be, some leopards do just specialize. Some specialize in catching water things, some specialize in scavenging. Tingana was rumored to be a specialist aardvark hunter when I first arrived here, because he killed something like 4 in a row. And we've definitely seen him hunt lots of warthog, so it seems to specialize in burrowing animals. Good question from Anne in Maryland, who'd like to know if terrapins can see leopards and would they run away from them. They can see them. They would certainly pick up on the movement. And it's the same when we walk up to the surface, or not the surface, the edge of the water. What was I talking about? I've completely lost my train of thought. I got distracted by the Game Drive radio.
If we can approach...
Oh yes, terrapins. That was it. Yeah, so if we go up to the surface of the water, terrapins will duck down and swim away. And the same would apply for leopards, but they wouldn't run away, they'd swim away. They'd immediately duck down underneath the surface of the water. And that water's so dirty, once they're past a certain point, it will be very, very difficult for him to catch up with them. Go off. Did you hear if anyone else was coming?
Can't get hold of the playground, but there's a combined city stop portion she wants to go buga that ingwe.
Cool. Enjoy. Cheers. I'm just saying my farewells to the other vehicle, driven by Ali, but we have something exciting to tell you. James has found animals on alert. While Taylor goes off in search of signal, we too have switched to infrared and we have signal, but we're not going anywhere. And I'm just going to try and get us a view. Quite tricky in the dark. Working off what I'm seeing in the monitor. Hold on a sec. I wonder how that view is going to be. Let me turn on my light quickly just to see. Seb. Okay. Alright, let's have a look-see and see whether or not we've actually got a view of him. That's a bit tricky. The light is not on anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it back on.
No worries. I'll let you know if I see anything. Oh, no. There we go.
Okay.
I don't know why I was looking as if you'd need me to tell you. When the whole world lights up.
Okay, there he is.
There he is. This is all quite a tricky process for us. I say us. Our cameraman. And welcome to Sweta from India. Hello, and I hope you're enjoying the sunset safari. You want to know why is it that leopards prefer living on their own as opposed to as a social grouping, as lions do? Well, bear in mind, it's not just leopards. In fact, it's more that lions are the exception to the rule rather than the norm. So most cats, all cats are solitary except for, well, lions. And it's less of a question of why it is that leopards are solitary and more of a question of why is it that leopards are solitary, why is it that lions are social. One of the theories put forward, and remember these are just theories, but they come with a lot of interesting evidence, is the fact that human beings and lions would have been evolving around the same time. And as the biggest cat, lions probably would have struggled. So by putting themselves into group and evolving to be a social cat, one of the theories argues that in that way they reduced competition with human beings, or it was a way in which they could compete with human beings. And it would be interesting to see the success rate, to really compare the success rate of being a social hunter, wild dogs, lions, hyenas, as opposed to a solitary hunter. Each one has its advantages and its drawbacks. If you're solitary, it means you get all of the spoils. You don't have to share in the way that we've seen the wild dog share. If you are in a group, if you get injured, you've got a much better chance of being fed, because the rest of the group will hunt for you and they'll share their kill with you. Now, I don't have an exact answer. It's part of parcel of the way that leopards have evolved. Their secretive nature, their solitary nature. But remember that lions are the exception in the cat world, rather than the norm. It might be one of those questions that we'll only ever have theories to answer. We might never ever know exactly why something is the way it is. Imagine a pride of leopards. It'd be terrifying. They'd be unstoppable. A pride of leopards. It'd be interesting. So back onto the question, while we listen to Vutomi slowly but surely doing what probably would have given my mom nightmares when I was a child. I was always being told not to crunch those suckers that I'd been given, or lollipops as you might call them, wherever you happen to be in the world. I was always strictly instructed not to do that. And Vutomi's giving us nightmares here. So the question is, well, which of the teeth is the most valuable to a leopard? That is a really hard question to answer, because it depends. Lose all 4 canines, and yes, that is going to be a huge disadvantage. Lose 2 molars, 1 on each side, and you've also got a really serious problem. Because remember the way that leopards bite and cut meat. Now, I don't know if any of you have eaten venison that isn't particularly well cooked or well prepared, but if you have, you'll have a rough idea of how tough it is. Now, I've never eaten raw terrapin or raw impala, but I can imagine that it's very, very tough. And that's one of the reasons why leopards and lions and predators have what's known as the carnassial shear, which is the way in which the molars and the premolars slide together like a pair of scissors. So cutting through the meat in a scissor-like motion rather than trying to pull it away with their incisors or their canines. And that's really important, because ultimately that's the way that they go about eating. I would say presumably their incisors would be the least important. Remember, they have 6 on the top and 6 on the bottom, but they're tiny teeth. And I guess those are probably the least important. But it'd be hard to say. My money's on molars, actually. Difficult question to answer, though, but a good one. A very good one. That's why I love these live safaris. You make me think about things that I might not otherwise have thought about. My stomach is rumbling so loudly. I promise you it's not this. I don't know if you're actually picking up on it or not, but I thought I'd just excuse myself just in case. It's the thought of Amanda's dinner, not the terrapin, that's causing those sounds. Oh, Megan, you naughty girl. She's got a sense of humour there. Megan has instructed us to increase the ambient mic to pick up my tummy rumbles. No, it's okay. I think we'll keep it where it is.
I won't do that, Jamie.
Thank you, Seb. He's a gentleman.
Mine might also be rumbling.
Ah, so you cover your own bases as well. We've had 2 different leopards this evening. 2 different spectrums of essentially the same life cycle. One young leopard and one much older, much larger leopard. Ali, you want to know whether or not Tingana and Vutomi would fight if they were to run into each other. Typically, the answer should be yes. Fight, not even necessarily just fight. There would be a very good chance that Tingana would kill Vutomi if he could catch him. A very, very good chance, because Tingana is not dominant in this area, so there's very slim chance that he's actually Vutomi's father. Something that he would recognize, and that would essentially put him in the mood to eliminate potential future competition, which he might not do with his own offspring. However, those of you who have been watching or keeping track of these leopards for a while, you know why I'm saying generally. Because, of course, Vutomi's father was probably Shumvambalana, so Karula's son. However, Karula's younger son, Quarantine, was seen having an encounter with Vutomi, and it was a totally bizarre and unexpected sighting, where it was almost, Inkanyeni was running away, so this cub's mother was running away, but Quarantine and Vutomi, it almost looked like Vutomi wanted to play. And there were times where I assumed Quarantine was going to go in for the kill, and he just never did. So, what common sense and perhaps even the textbooks might say doesn't always happen. The wildlife out here is unpredictable. It does very strange things. And it's taught us all a few harsh lessons about making snap judgments. Which is why I would absolutely give my bottom left canine to be able to be an animal for a day. To experience their world. Not just take, have my own mind and be in an animal form. I mean to actually really have a chance to perceive the way that they perceive the world. In the way that they do, senses and all. Imagine how cool it would be. Maybe not an animal that was eating a terrapin, though. I have to confess, my desire does not extend that far. Ugh. I have smelt terrapins. They are not particularly nice. I can't even imagine what eating one must be like. Mr. Vutomi, this has been the longest meal in the world. I know your mum probably told you to chew your food properly, but you might be taking things a bit far. Shame, I'm being facetious. Can't be easy, having to do this for each and every single tiny scrap of terrapin meat, which really isn't all that much. And apparently he was hunting terrapins at Nkoro earlier today, so he's literally spent his entire day catching, crunching, catch, crunch, repeat. Creep, catch, and crunch. Hey, little Vutomi. I wonder where we're going to find you tomorrow. If we're going to find you tomorrow. You can see this is really hard. Although, watching a leopard eat an impala or something like that, there's a lot of crunching and a lot of scraping and a lot of chewing the same piece of meat over and over. I guess... No, there is a huge difference. This is not nice. Maybe he'll get lucky and a scrub hare will become wandering in. I mean, he's so hidden at the moment that absolutely anything could stumble straight across the spot. I wonder if this is one of the reasons why he's here. No, I don't think so. I think he just sought out cover. But either way, it will work out in his favour because he's on a game path. He's on actually the intersection of several game paths leading to the water. Perhaps advantage, perhaps disadvantage. And dear Vaping Raven, your username has inspired a very peculiar image in my head. But Vaping Raven, you want to know what time of day or evening leopards are most active? These hours, actually. The hours around about darkness, the fall of darkness. According to research, but I think it really differs from place to place. According to research, in theory, up to around about 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then they get active again very early in the morning. That will differ depending on the time of the sunrise and the sunset. Again, because there's no strict rules out here, I've seen leopards wandering around in the middle of the day in 40-degree heat. They really, really like to confuse us. They like to do unexpected and strange things, and those of you with pet cats, perhaps you'll be familiar with that sort of a drive from the feline family. I would say, actually, the majority of my leopard sightings, although I guess it's biased because I don't spend that much time driving around at night, my majority of leopard sightings have been in the middle of the day. Well, there's something special about this time of evening, regardless of whether or not leopards are more active, and that's the fact that all kinds of things come out to play. Let's go and see whether or not Taylor has found any nocturnal creatures.